Good afternoon. Welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Reema Tendulkar. With me is Sonal Bhutra, and it's turning out to be a bit of a manic Monday afternoon. Let's run you through the top headlines, and then we've got a lot to cover. Midcaps fall harder than larger peers as the Nifty and the sensex extend their losses. We're trading near the session lows. All sectors flash red. Earlier in the day, the Nifty even breached the 16,850 mark.
SGVN perks up on winning a 200 megawatt solar project from Discom MSEDCL.
Midcap defense PSUs, Cochin Shipyard, Paris Defense rally in a weak market on order wins. Cochin Shipyard bags a 550 crore export order, while a 64 crore supply contract boosts Paris Defense.
In a capex push, Naveen Fluorine's arm greenlights investment of 450 crore rupees for a 40,000 ton per year hydrofluoric acid plant at Dahej, which is the raw material for the company.
Oil marketing players HPCL, BPCL and Indian Oil gain as oil prices continue to trade near 15-month lows. Brent price now below $73 per barrel.
Okay, all right. Those are the top headlines that we are tracking. By the way, for the markets, there is some attempt of recovery. 50 points from the lows is what the recovery that we've seen for the markets. It briefly breached that 16,850 mark, a crucial support because that was last week's low as well. That is something that we'll be tracking. The mid-cap side of things, they continue to at least underperform the benchmark. So that index is down 1.5%. And we are looking at some of these stocks which are putting a lot of pressure. So we have Reliance Industries, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. So a lot of focus as far as the banking index is concerned as well. But Reema, the big news remains what happened globally, but it did not soothe investor concerns despite that buyout.
No, absolutely not, right? The risk sentiment has been rattled right now. And, you know, look at the intraday chart, right? Sometimes the charts tell you far more than what words can explain. But from 10:30 to 11, there was a bounce in the market, a rebound. Markets tried to pull back up, but that was sold into. Only thing is now we're rebounding from levels of 16,850, right? The low today is 16,850, and this is technically a very important support level. All the analysts that we've spoken to over the last couple of days indicated that 16,850 is likely to hold. It's a formidable support. The markets are the bulls are going to try whatever they can to try and hold on to that level. So we've rebounded from that level. So let's see whether that can hold. But if that's breached, then according to analysts, lower levels are in store for our market. 16,890, still down 200 points. Sensex lower by 700 points. But we'll talk about another important story about HDFC Limited as well as HDFC Bank. We've got Lata here with us in the studio, and you've learned something from your sources.
Yes, so usually reliable sources tell us that HDFC Bank may be given a little more time to reach the priority sector lending limit. Banks have to keep 40%, give 40% of their loan book to priority sector like farm and MSMEs and affordable housing. And the bigger concession of giving more time for reaching 4.5% CRR and 18% SLR may not come through. These sources told us that Reserve Bank may go by precedent. When ICICI got merged into ICICI Bank along with two other minor subsidiaries in 2002, ICICI Bank had to meet CRR and SLR from day one of the new merged entity. But it was given a concession to meet priority sector lending limit. However, ICICI Bank was told that the incremental loans it gives from the day of the merger, more than 40% has to be priority sector till it reaches the 40% limit. Our sources tell us that pretty much the same copybook is likely to be followed by the Reserve Bank. Normally, the Reserve Bank doesn't like to give CRR, SLR concessions. As a principle, this is what a central banker told me some time back, a retired central banker. They don't like to give CRR, SLR concessions because those are meant as buffers in times of crisis. And so they are not normally given.
All right. Lata, thank you so much for joining us with those important details. So this is the banking sector which is in focus. By the way, for the markets, if we take a look, because banks are in focus, so let's stick with that because Bank Nifty has also seen some recovery from the low. So that index is down around 500 points. And as I said earlier, it was ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank which are putting a lot of pressure. But there has been some attempt to recovery, and that is something which is leading to the recovery in Nifty as well. But since we focus on mid caps now, this is our special segment in mid-cap movers. We have Vivek to take us through the mid-caps that are moving around in trade today. Vivek.
Well, thank you for that. Clearly a day of pain as far as the broader end of the markets are concerned as well. Quite a bit of breakdown seen. But, select stocks today, we'll have a lot of declines rather than gainers today. But still, select stocks, Sunflag, Iron and Steel, this particular stock up almost 15% on the back of the fact that the company has decided to exercise the option of taking up a stake as far as Lloyd Steel is concerned. Captain Point today up on very strong volumes. Root Mobile, after a while, is seeing a bit of a bounce back. And Galaxy Surfactants today up on strong volumes as well. On the other hand, there's quite a lot of stocks, that are really well tracked. A lot of these stocks have hit fresh 52-week lows in today's trading session. So names like Wipro, Piramal Enterprises, Piramal Pharma, both the Piramal names have seen quite a bit of a breakdown. Dr. Lal Path Labs as well as Biocon. Biocon continues to see a slide after the large block deal that we saw in Friday's trading session. Some of the other names, that are seeing a bit of a slide today. Sula Vineyards, despite, the press release stating that, very strong crushing season, the stock is down almost 5.5%. Jindal Saw, India Cements too down almost 5.5% in today's trading session. ITD Cementation and Sterling and Wilson giving up its gains, that it saw last week.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Midcap Radar on CNBC-TV18. Well, there has been an attempt to recovery, but we'll have to see whether that sustains or not, or whether we'll see a pullback from current levels or not. So let's welcome Jay Bala of cashthechaos.com for a technical check on the markets and, more importantly, what are the levels to watch out for as well. Jay, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, as Rima and I were discussing, the 16,850 mark that was broken today, the low for today is 16,828. We have seen some recovery from those levels. Will this sustain, or will we see a pullback from these levels?
Hi, Sonal. Yeah, this market has got much more downside to work with. I've been saying that on CNBC for quite some months now. And the fact that markets clocked fresh 2023 low, that's just, not much of a surprise for me. So the only question is how much downside the market has got. And are there going to be, intermittent bounces, or are we going to go directly down towards important support levels? So I had to point out that the September 30th low of 16,747, that's where the market is targeting. That will stay for a bit, but I don't see the markets holding that support for long, and that will also give way. So, the only question for me in the extreme short term is that, are we going directly to 16,400 to 200, or are we going to see a bounce to 17,000 and then take out that important supported September low of 2022 last year?
What was the low again that you expect to hold? 16,000?
16,747, which is the September 30th low of last year.
Okay. And once that is breached, we may try and defend it for some time, but in your assessment that markets are likely to break it and head lower, when that happens, then where do you think the next important support is?
Yeah, there are short-term supports at about 16,400 to 200. And I think the markets are going to see an acceleration. From a 1 to 4 day time frame, I don't know what the market is going to do. But from a time frame beyond that, say a couple of weeks, I think the support that will get broken. Once that's broken, the significant support is only at 15,183. The minor supports are at 16,400 and 16,200.
Okay, and according to you, for those levels, which would the sectors which would contribute, or which sectors that you think will be in focus on the downside?
Yeah, there are no major leaders for the market, and I had pointed out last week that pressure is going to come from banks, IT, and Reliance. And Reliance has clocked 2180, which is also the 2022 low. So that's going to be very important for the overall market. Reliance should not close below 2180. It's extremely critical. That can put a lot of pressure on the market. So watch out for that level. And to your question of sectors, I think it's going to be banks. Banks are going to contribute big time. It's not because Credit Suisse is happening today. I've been pointing out that banks are going to put pressure, and it just so happens that we're getting news on international banks falling apart.
Jay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in. Jay has been bearish in the markets for a very long time, even when the Nifty had gone to levels of 18,000. At that time, he maintained that, these levels are not going to stay and the markets are going to crack, and crack it has, and how. Currently, we are again back at 16,860 right now. So that mini bounce that we have has been sold into. Let's slip into a very short break. We'll keep tracking the markets, but on the other side, we will also be joined by Pradeep Kheruka, the chairman of Borosil Renewable. Welcome back. Still down to 45 points on the Nifty. The sensex has extended its fall, 800 points plus gone. But let's invite the management of Borosil Renewables on Midcap Radar today. Last month, the company kicked off commercial production of solar glass from their SG3 furnace, scaling up their capacity to 1,000 tons per day. Note that the management had earlier told CNBC-TV18 that demand continues to remain very strong, and with a capex of 33 to 34 million euros, they should see about a 20% growth in their revenues. Pradeep Kheruka, the chairman of Borosil Renewables, is with us on the show now. Thank you very much for joining in. The last time you indicated that demand is very strong, but now that your capacity has increased twofold in solar glass, could you tell us what is the capacity utilization that you are currently operating at, and what is the pricing looking like?
So prior to our switching on the new capacity, we were operating at about 20% of the market demand. That means Borosil was being able to meet a little over 20% of the market demand. And now with enhanced capacity, we should be able to do about 43% of the market demand. Meanwhile, demand in foreign markets has been very strong. And we basically, demand is simply not an issue at all, so far as the company is concerned. Yes, you are asking a question about import prices. They remain a challenge. The prices are very low. The price is heavily subsidized. In the Indian solar ecosystem, solar glass does not have any protection whatsoever from any kind of import duty, which is astonishing. And we have done our best to impress upon the government to impose at least a basic customs duty, which is there on the books, but that is exempted right now by virtue of some circular, or should I say by mischief of some circular. And therefore, we continue to lobby with the government to withdraw that circular so that the basic customs duty already on the books should get implemented, and we are able to compensate for the subsidies which the Chinese manufacturers get and which we do not. So,
Kheruka, what is that subsidy amount is what I wanted to check. How much lower are the imported or the dumped prices versus what you are manufacturing? And generally for solar glass, are prices in an uptrend right now?
Prices are not at an uptrend. They are more or less stable. Everything is stable. The demand is stable. The price is stable. I don't think they can get much lower than this in terms of their selling prices, because they must be already subsidizing selling prices quite significantly. So we are covered. We had entered into long-term contracts for soda ash, and therefore, to some extent, we are covered on that front. Also, we are multi-fuel furnaces, so we can switch to furnace oil, which is what we have done. Fortunately, the prices of furnace oil have not registered any spike, and so therefore, there is some stability there in terms of our cost inputs. So we are doing fairly well. We still have a good EBITDA, which is good by any normal standard. But we believe that we should have, we need to have more in order to be able to repay the debts. If we want to have growth, then we should have a higher profitability in order to sustain growth.
Sir, in absence of any support from the government, will the margins stay at current levels? What is the trend on the margins?
Yes, the margin should stay at the current levels. 26,
27%.
As you know, I never give any numbers, but I'm generally saying that the margins are stable. So we should, plus we do have some benefit from enhanced capacity. There are certain economies of scale which kick in because of higher capacities. So those are advantages we get.
So Mr. Kheruka, right now you're at 1,000 tons per day. That is the increased capacity. You have another capacity coming in, and that will take it to 2,400 tons per day. That is by FY24. Are you on track to achieve that at full or the peak capacity utilization levels, what kind of revenues will you do and what will that take your market share to? Right now, 1,000 tons per day has taken it to 40%. Once you reach that higher level, what kind of market share will you see?
So I would say that we are prepared for the new capacity, but at the moment we are still waiting to see what comes out from our efforts in terms of getting some improvement in the duty structure. And in the event that the duty structure is restored to normalcy, then I think we should be able to start work on the new capacity in the next few months. It could be 6 months, for example. And then we should be able to work right earnest to expand it further. Until then, I think we have to adopt a wait and see approach because 1,000 tons a day, which is enough to give 6 gigawatts of glass for the solar business here, is not bad. It's quite good. Moreover, we already have another company which has started production. So we haven't seen the glass in the market yet, but we believe they've started production a couple of weeks ago. And another 2 companies are coming in on stream sometime in April or May. So we should see another 1,000 tons coming up. And even after that, there would still be more demand than the enhanced supply.
Mr. Kheruka, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in. That's Borosil Renewables for you. For the markets, still down 235 points. European markets have opened up right now, and they've opened up with deep cuts of about 0.8, 0.9% on the benchmark indices. And banks in Europe continue to slide lower. I think Credit Suisse in the opening tick was down about 65 odd percent,
and so was
while
UBS.
UBS too has seen a double-digit knock, close to about 12 to 14% down on UBS. Well, we'll keep tracking the market for you. For now, we need to slip into a very short break. On the other side, Inside Out returns.